In terms of the types of avenues available to board members, what are some key decisions that can make or break a company's growth trajectory? And what can board members do to help those companies make sure that they're on the right path?
One is helping to hire the right people. How do you make sure to instill the right recruiting processes? How do you help identify who might be doing well, who's scaling out, where there's holes that need to be filled? The board sets the right metrics to focus on and then stick with them. So how do you identify what are the relevant KPIs, not only for the company, but for each of the various leaders within the functional areas of the business? And then how do you stick with them and use those to objectively judge people? The other thing that I think, what we would call like the Act 1 versus Act 2 phenomenon. A lot of businesses start with their first act and they have a particular product, and that product gets some product market fit and things are going well. And you end up with a situation where like Act 1 is sort of like doing its thing. But at some point, Act 1 can become difficult because you have this one product and it's done really nicely and it's gotten initial takeoff and there's a bunch of people that are interested in it and customers that are using it. And it becomes much more of a mechanized function that you're dealing with. And so now instead of a situation being, oh, I've got this great idea for a new product, it's how do I mechanize my sales team to sell the product properly? How do I mechanize my product team to orient around the issues with the product that the customers care about the most? And so that becomes a different function. And so oftentimes what we see is that that first act starts getting harder. And you end up with a situation where a lot of entrepreneurs, their whole life was like clawing around trying to figure out how they could find product market fit. They finally kind of found it, but the things they need to do to scale from sort of point B to point C aren't necessarily the same things that they need to do to scale from point A to point B. A knee-jerk reaction oftentimes is, I think that what the most important thing to do is jump onto Act 2. Let's figure out the next great thing. Because what they love to do and what they're familiar with doing is scratching along and finding product market fit. Look, we've barely scratched the surface of the addressable market here. We have $10 million in revenue in a market that you yourself believe is a $500 million market, $1 billion market. There is so much room to run. We just need to mechanize ourselves. Let's keep doing that. And once we hit up to 20, 30, 50, pick the number, then let's start making more significant investments into Act 2 and Act 3.